I realized as I sat down to edit this video and try to hopefully make myself sound more articulate than I feel like I was in it, I didn't even really film an intro. So, hi fam. Hope y'all are well. Today is going to be a bit of a vlog, but yeah, I'm really hopeful that we can exchange some ideas because, yeah, as I've said before, I have never published anything. I've just been writing for a long time. So I am by no means an expert. This is a journey for me, and I am here to share that journey for fun, but also so that I can learn stuff. So please, definitely, if you have tips regarding to any of the topics that you hear me touch on in this, because it's a lot to try to explain in a short little intro. But yeah, please let me know how you're going about things. But yeah, it's really fun. I'm really excited. Let's get into it. So, for someone like myself who is a lover of world building, and if I do say so myself, I'm pretty darn good at it because I've been doing it basically my whole life. Coming up with stories was a problem for me. Now, the problem for me that I am trying to get better at is creating better characters, really focusing on characters. I do love world building, but I know that I'm good at that. I know that I have a very fertile imagination. And I have a very distinct world that I have created over a very long period of time. That, even before I had a story planned for it, I like the worlds that I've created for my fantasy series that I'm working on now is very much one that has existed in my imagination for a very long time. And I think I've definitely heard a lot of fantasy authors kind of say similar things. Like the world you create has been part of you for a long time. And I do want to talk eventually about viewing your setting in the world itself as a character, because it really is. But what I really want to talk about today is kind of has a lot to do with my own journey when it comes to telling a better character driven story. Because I don't really want and maybe this is stretching, whatever, but I don't really want my series to be entirely character driven, entirely plot driven, or entirely just interesting because the world I created is interesting. I want to have a nice balance of all of those. Also, I've kind of had this situation that I've realized personally where over the last year, there's been a few times where I've just been super busy in my regular normie life that I guess I don't really have a normie life, but I have a very busy life. And so there's been a few times over the last year since I've really been hardcore working on developing my series that I just haven't had time to write for a month or two at a time, which is really unfortunate and I hate it, but that's just kind of how life is sometimes. And the problem that happens is when I end up having to take some time off from writing, I have new ideas, or I figure out as I'm going through my notes, I'm like, oh, but I have a better idea of how to make this part work out, or oh, this is how this happens. You know what I mean? If you're writing a book or a series or whatever, you probably have experienced something similar. I don't think I'm unique in any of this. This is a problem I've had, and when I step away and do that, then I've realized as much as I think of myself as an organized person and am in a lot of ways, I have realized I am not as organized as I thought I was. Sometimes when I do this, I have created separate, not really separate computer files. Well, I guess to some degree, actually, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I have. I've created, in some instances, separate computer files pertaining to the same information that I should have just updated. Or I have my entire binder here. This isn't even all of it either. I have books behind me. So I just have a hot mess going on that I need to go through and condense it down. Not even condense it, just compile it together or tweak things instead of just being wait, which way was I going to go with? Or it's very overwhelming. It's a lot. And I found myself thinking wow, people do this by themselves? How? It's fine. It's a good kind of overwhelm. It's not really one that I mind because of any art form I've ever done, or really just anything I've ever done in my life. This is the most creative fun for me personally. So it's fine. It's just a lot. And I mean, I would do this even if I didn't have plans to eventually publish. But for me, I've written stuff just for myself before, and I'm really at a point where I'm like, this is fun. I want to be able to share this with people. So I need to get my stuff together so that I can actually get this done and share it with people, you know? Now, what I've realized I need to do is, in order to go through and condense all of these things down, I think the best move for me to do would be to, which is what I'm about to do, would be to sit down and just write out what I refer to as a bare bones outline for my entire series. Because even right now, like, I think that's a big part of my problem when I sit down to write. I can't plot everything with such great detail that I just know everything and I have to write it, or I get really bored and it starts feeling like a chore to me and I just don't want to do it. And I'm super Sagittarian. If I don't want to do something, like, it's just not going to happen. It just won't. And like, I don't know, that maybe that's a character flaw, but I literally, my brain is just like, no. So that isn't the kind of, and I've made a video about this, plotting versus pantsing. But for me, a bare bones outline is perfect, because what I mean by that is I know the important points through the entire thing. And I might know a few details here and there. I might have like, oh, I know this conversation needs to happen here, or she needs to find this in this chapter, or whatever, right? But I don't have every little detail mapped out on there so that I can still discover things. Like, if I was just doing that for one individual book, perfect, perfect. For me, the problem is that I am trying to do this for an entire series, and I have not made bare bones outlines for every single book in my series. Now, a while ago, as in like over the winter, I sat down and I wrote out this, which is not even a bare bones outline over everything. My initial thinking was, oh, I don't have to do an entire bare bones outline for every single book. I can just, do that for my first book and then figure out just the main things that need to happen in the sequential books, right? So, I am changing my mind with that because I have spent more time writing since then, and I have made more personal discoveries about my writing style. And I am now going to sit through, and I've decided before I do any more writing in a novel, because at this point I'm just, not that I won't use any of the stuff that I have written, because I've written quite a bit, but some of it might end up in different books. I have a different structure that I'm thinking I really want to go with for the series, but I don't even know at this point if it's going to be a book or a series of 5 books or 7. I feel like it's going to be somewhere in there, but I feel like I really need to sit down and actually figure all of those things out. And I don't want to just sit down and write 5 to 7 bare bones outlines. I'm going to do it twice. I'm going to do a bare bones outline for the overarching series plot story. For the overarching story, the overarching plot of my series that I'm doing. I'm going to write out an entire bare bones plot for that using, like, I have my timeline written out here, that is also like not super detailed, but I wrote down, like, these are the main things that are going on, whether it's behind the scenes or things that we need to figure out later, whatever, right? And so using that and some of the random other notes that I need to go through and organize, that will be an outline in itself. But then each of the books that are in the series that I'm writing are going to have different main characters, and they will they will definitely feature to some degree. Some of them will feature in each other's books. There will be, a few chapters here and there that are not from the, like, same character perspective, but for the most part, each book is going to be focused on one predominant main character. And again, there's a reason for that with the type of story that I'm telling. And then, like, the last book in the series, possibly the last couple, again, depending on what I end up figuring out with all this, is where everyone kind of, their stories come together. We figure out, like, all the little breadcrumbs throughout the series, all the different things that they have figured out, their pieces of the puzzle will come together, and everything will make sense, and we'll figure out how to, like, do the big thing at the end that needs doing, right? And so I am going to go through and for those particular books, my plan is to write out those individual characters' journeys, like their not just the things like their deepest desires or their greatest fears or like the journey that they need to go on in their own personal character arc necessarily. I'm going to do that aspect of it, but also have like what is the like theme of their individual story, what is the lessons they need to learn, all of that, and then do a separate outline for that same book that has to do with the storyline of that book. So if you're keeping track, that's like basically, well, that's a lot of different outlines, but that's like essentially 3 different outlines for each book, right? Each book will have its own character outline, its own story outline, and then we have the main story outline that extends across the entire series. And so once I have all of these written up and worked out, and I've figured out as many details as I need so that like there won't be this issue I'm having now where it's like, okay, but how is this going to play into this thing that I can't see yet, right? I will hopefully have removed that issue. And once I have all of those, then I will be able to see a lot clearer how things connect in a way that I can weave each individual book together and create a fresh outline combining all of those things. So then I will know, okay, as far as main story events go, this is what I need to show happening in this book. As far as all of that goes, this is the like we're going to dip our toe into this right here and just get a little piece of it. And then I can do that with each consecutive novel, right? And I can also see like, okay, well, this is the entire story here, but also this is where I need character growth to be happening. Or these are the events that can help my character have the epiphany she needs to have or find the things she needs to find, whether it's an internal or external plot device thing that we're going with, right? And so I'm really excited. I think this is not only going to be super fun, but I really think that it's like, it sounds like a lot to do. And I get that, but I also am like super committed to putting out the best story that I possibly can. And I love the story that I'm writing. I love my world. I love the characters I've created, even if I don't fully know all of them very well, because I haven't written all of them yet. If you have your own system or ways that you found are easiest for you to write a really long, like epic fantasy type series, I definitely want to hear about it. Please let me know, comment below. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, if you're still like kind of where I am trying to like figure out how to make this happen, because it's a lot and you, like me, don't have the money to hire someone to help you manage all of this, this could be a really helpful thing, I think. I will definitely update y'all as I do this and let you know if I think this is actually something that is going to work, that will continue to work, because I think that there is still going to be room for things to change. But again, if each story, if you are not a pantser, like not entirely completely on that end of the spectrum when it comes to writing, like for me, again, it's really easy to see if like as long as I get the big things in place, then writing it out is really easy and I still have room to discover fun little interesting side things, but it's not as overwhelming. I think also when it comes to world building specifically, especially if you like me have a propensity to develop world builder's disease, although I have found better ways to handle that. You can check out my video on that if you want. I just made one in the last month. But I do think that if you have the propensity to develop world builder's disease, then having these bare bones types of outlines can really help, especially for an entire series, planning it out ahead of time can really help you know like how much of all of that you absolutely need to know. And it will still leave plenty of room for wiggle room, but how much do you really need to know about a religion? Or like if you're writing a character that is a priestess, which one of my characters is a priestess in the story, she is going to have a much more religious kind of mindset than a character who is a peasant right, who is like begging on the streets. If you have a character who is like royalty, they're going to have a profound understanding of politics beyond what the average person would, right? If you have a character who is a warrior or a nomad or whatever, right? Everyone's going to have these different perspectives. So these are different ways that you can like add world building in those ways. Again, in my case, since all of the books in my series are, except for like the last one or two, are going to be from different main character perspectives, mostly, then there will be different types of world building introduced in each of those books. And I can use that information, that fact, to my own personal advantage as I'm plotting things out, because it's like, okay, well, so in this particular one, I need to understand more of the politics of the world because of this particular character being who she is. Or in this particular book, I need to focus more on this, so I don't necessarily have to worry about world building all of this about this particular religion until later on, because I still at least know what her journey is, and I know enough about the religion I've created that I can have that bare bones outline. How many times have I said that in this video? So I really hope that makes sense for you. I tried recording this a couple of times. I really hope I'm like being articulate in what I'm trying to express, because again, this is a bit of an overwhelming topic. I'm talking about a lot here when we're talking about an entire fantasy series, but yeah, it's really exciting. I'm having a blast with it. I hope either this was helpful to you or at least entertaining. But yes, please also do comment below if you have tips, tricks, whatever, anything that I haven't talked about in this video, something that's worked for you. Let's have a conversation. I want to know about these things. I really do, because I am learning just like anyone who potentially comes across this video. So if you liked this video, please consider sticking around, like, share, subscribe. I really appreciate it. I talk about all things related to books and writing. Yeah, I look forward to hearing your comments on today's video topic. So yeah, let's chat about it. I love you guys. I'll see y'all very soon.